All right, exam season. You know the feeling, right? The stress is real, the nights get way too long, and the pressure is just on. We've all been there, staring at a mountain of textbooks and just feeling completely overwhelmed. But what if the way to get better grades isn't about more hours of painful cramming? What if it's actually all about science?
So just think about this for a second. We're always told that more effort equals better results, that pulling an all-nighter is some kind of badge of honor. But what if that's all just wrong? What if the real key to unlocking your brain's potential has been right under your nose this whole time? Or, maybe more accurately, right under your pillow? 25%. Keep that number in your head. Researchers over at MIT tracked a bunch of students for a whole semester to figure out what actually predicts success in school. And they found that a full quarter, 1/4 of the difference in grades came down to one single, and honestly, super overlooked factor.
So, this is the absolute foundation for studying smarter. Before we even touch flashcards or talk about schedules, we have to build on solid ground. So, what is it? What's this one thing that accounts for a quarter of your entire performance?
It's sleep. Yep. Not some crazy new study hack, not a caffeine-fueled all-night marathon, but just consistent, quality sleep. This is when your brain actually does the heavy lifting. It's consolidating memories, strengthening connections, and really learning the material you've been looking at all day. If you skimp on this, the whole pyramid just falls apart.
And look, this isn't just a theory. We've got the hard data to prove it. MIT researchers used wearable trackers to get the real story, no guessing involved. The top graph here is pretty simple. On average, the more sleep students got, the higher their scores. The bottom one, though, is even more telling. The more your sleep schedule bounced around, the more inconsistent it was, the lower your scores were. The data does not lie.
And here it is, the biggest mythbuster of them all, straight from the study itself. The all-nighter is officially dead. The researchers found that the amount of sleep you get the single night before a test had, wait for it, no impact on performance. Zero. What really mattered was the consistent sleep you got over the weeks while you were first learning the material. That's when the magic happens. Sleep is a long-term investment, folks, not a last-minute panic button.
Okay, so our foundation of sleep is firmly in place. Now it's time to be the architect of our own success. This next layer is all about strategy. It's about creating a smart blueprint for your study time. Because let's be real, not all subjects, and definitely not all study hours, are created equal.
So here's how you can start managing your most valuable resource, your time. Stop studying randomly. You need to prioritize based on two simple things. How hard is it for you, and how much does it impact your final grade? A subject that's tough for you and is a huge part of your final exam, that's your top priority. Spend about 40% of your time there. Something that's pretty easy and not worth much, that gets the least amount of focus. This, right here, is what working smart actually looks like.
Now let's get into how you actually structure those study blocks. Most of us default to what's called blocked practice. You study all of topic A, then you move on to all of topic B. It feels really productive. But the science shows that interleaved practice is way, way better. This means you're actually switching between different topics in a single session. So instead of just a deep dive on one thing, you're constantly forcing your brain to switch gears and adapt.
So, why does this work? It sounds a little chaotic, right? Well, it's because interleaving stops your brain from going on autopilot. Every single time you switch topics, you force your brain to reach back and retrieve that information from scratch. That act of retrieving is what makes the learning stick. It's a workout that builds mental agility, and get this, one study found it can boost your exam performance by almost 7%. That's a huge difference.
Okay, so we've got our foundation of sleep and our blueprint for planning. Now we need the engine. This is the absolute core of effective studying. It's the difference between truly getting it and just going through the motions. It all comes down to active versus passive learning.
This right here is the comfort zone for most of us. Rereading our notes, highlighting the textbook until it's glowing, maybe watching a lecture recording for the third time. It feels super productive, doesn't it? You feel like you're putting in the hours. But it's actually a pretty low-effort activity, where your brain isn't really being challenged to do the hard work of learning. And this leads to a really dangerous trap. It's called the illusion of competence. What happens is, passive learning makes you familiar with the material, and your brain mistakes that feeling of familiarity for genuine understanding. You see a term in your notes and think, oh yeah, I got that. But then, on the exam when you have to actually explain it or apply it, nothing. That's the illusion shattering, and it's happening at the worst possible time.
The antidote to this illusion is something called active recall. This is the hard work.
It's about forcing your brain to pull information out of your memory without a safety net. This means quizzing yourself, using flashcards the right way, or trying to explain a topic out loud from memory. It's gonna feel tough, but every time you struggle to remember something, you're actually making that connection in your brain stronger. It's like lifting weights for your memory, and it makes it almost certain you'll remember it on the exam.
So let's say you're sold. You're ready for active recall, for interleaving, for strategic planning. That's awesome. Now let's get you a toolkit. I've got 2 super powerful techniques you can use to put all this into practice, like today.
First up is the Pomodoro technique, a system that's all about managing your focus. Instead of having a vague, endless study session, you work in these intense 25-minute sprints with 0 distractions. Then, you take a short break. This rhythm balances that deep focus with rest, which helps prevent burnout and keeps your mind sharp for hours. It's structure and discipline, all in one neat little package.
And finally, we have the ultimate test of true understanding, the Feynman technique. It's named after a Nobel Prize-winning physicist, and the idea is genius in its simplicity. To prove you really know something, try to explain it in the simplest terms you can, like you're talking to a kid. This forces you to get rid of all the jargon and really confront any gaps in your knowledge. If you can explain it simply, you've absolutely mastered.
So there you have it, the foundation of sleep, the architecture of smart planning, the engine of active recall, and the tools to make it all happen. You're not just a student, you are the architect of your own success. You have the blueprint right here. The only question left is, how are you going to start building?